ready to come from today. I think that we have 60 heads of states already coming to Copenhagen today. And also heads of states would now be doing the national statements, which started at 12 o'clock. And there, as heads of states are doing the national statements, we thought it was only natural that it would be our Prime Minister presiding over that. But as I also told in the plenary, I will continue my work conducting the consultations and the negotiations with ministers in order to work with the text that we will present here later.
And your impression of the mood in the hall today?
As always, a bit confusing, but I get the feeling that many are getting impatient. They want to get to work, also at ministerial level, and therefore I think that we still need to have a few more consultations with parties, also those who are more reluctant. There are some still who would suggest that we should do the very tough negotiations on the text in the plenary. And I think that many would see why that is not operational. We must have a representative group of ministers to sit down, look at the text. That is where we are at this stage.
Thank you.
Ja, altså som den formelle præsident, ja, men som jeg jo lige sagde derinde, det er jo kun naturligt, når der er 100 right now. Okay. Yeah. You should not ask me. I'm responsible for the negotiations, but I cannot talk of the logistics and the security issues. There, the Secretariat must reflect on that, but I know that they are looking very much into it. But as you also can see from the situation outside, there is an extraordinary security situation, and no one is really responsible for that, except those protesting in a not too peaceful way.
Could you just briefly sum up what's happening with the negotiations at the moment?
How brief. Right now, we are consulting parties on the way forward. And I have announced from the plenary now that we want to put forward a text that will obviously build on the two chairs' work to a very large extent. But now ministers must come down to the difficult parts. And that's also why we must find a practical way to negotiate that text. In other words, it is not practical to do that in the plenary. I think that most people can realize that. So we are trying to consult the groups, and many will respond back to us that yes, they agree that a minor group of ministers, that will probably be operational. And I'm going to conduct these negotiations with ministers, and then due to the fact that we have 119 heads of states coming to Copenhagen, some of them already while we speak, making the national statements, then we found it appropriate that it would be our Prime Minister presiding in the plenary.
Would you put forward one or two texts?
Two texts.
Thank you.
Okay, what are the key ingredients? What are the key ingredients to getting a deal to work here?
I think that it is crucial that we present, as this gentleman asked, two texts and respect that there are two tracks, and that is how it is. I think that we still have key obstacles on numbers for mitigation, numbers for finance, and then I think we have a huge obstacle also still with the MRV question, the measurable, reportable and verifiable thing. There will be other issues as well, but I think this will be the main obstacles. But we should not forget that beneath all of this, experts have been working in groups, negotiating adaptation framework, technology framework, rules for forestry, all that kind of things. So that is also what we can see from the LTA text that came this morning, that a lot of work have been done on these underlying decisions.
Are you optimistic?
I have for a whole year refused to say whether I'm optimistic or pessimistic. I tend to say I'm a realist, and a realist would at this time not say whether she's optimistic or pessimist, because it's a very, it's a very tough situation right now where ministers, governments, parties must really decide that now they want to get this done, because we cannot afford to waste this day and not to get started with the nitty-gritty negotiations.
Is the draft a step forward?
Sorry?
The draft text, is it a step forward?
Yes, definitely, I believe so. It was very good that the LCA this morning produced the text, and we had the reports also from the KP. That's very good, but as we know, this text, of course, does not conclude everything. So that's also why Denmark has looked into these texts, have suggestions as to how can we come forward, present the text, and we're looking forward to get the comments from parties. And don't be mistaken, They will have a lot of criticism from all kind of aspects, all kind of arguments, but it is the first way to get people to focus on where the really tough obstacles are and get ministers now to start negotiating those.
Will you comment on the amount of work